So we're here at Brad's office, so let's go on in and we'll start the interview. Oh, we found it. Knock, knock.
Nothing much. How you doing?
Great to see you. This is Patrick, my video guy.
Hey, Patrick.
How you
Brad.
doing? Good to meet you, Brad.
Nice to meet you.
This was great. It's a great little office.
Not bad, huh?
Hey guys, welcome back. We're here with another video interview with one of my top referral partners right here in my backyard in Clarkston, Michigan. With me today, I've got one of the top divorce attorneys here in North Oakland County, specializing right here in Clarkston. With me today is divorce attorney Brad Stout. Brad, thanks for being with us today.
My pleasure, Brandon.
Cool. So the goal for today is just I want to try to understand some of the things that you're seeing in your everyday practice. Maybe some things that people can look out for if people are going through the process of divorce. Obviously, it's not a fun time for anybody, right? So let me just start off. How long have you been practicing law?
So I've been an attorney now for 31 years. Started in 1987. Before that, I worked for 3 years for a circuit court judge, which is the level of judiciary that handles divorce matters. So 31 years and going strong and looking to do another 10 to 20.
Good for you. That's great. So, of all the areas of law, and I know you do a couple other areas of law, but your focus is family practice. Of all the areas, how did you pick that? Of all the different focuses you could have had as an attorney, how did you end up in family law?
Well, that's a great question. Haven't thought too much about it, but I guess I would say that when I was a young lawyer, I worked at a law firm where my boss handled a lot of different types of cases, one of which was divorce and family law. And I sort of gravitated toward that. And over the years, I've enjoyed it because not only do you get to do legal work, but you get to work with people in situations where they're really going through a tough time. And so at the end of the matter, it can be pretty rewarding. Of course it can be very difficult too.
Sure.
But I think more so than other areas of law that I've practiced, it's just more rewarding. And of course, there's always people who need help in family law and divorce cases.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. As I continue to grow my real estate practice, I agree with you. One of the business decisions that I've made recently is focusing on people that are going through the divorce process. It's just a very, very unfortunate thing for people to go through. And I think that those people during that period of time in their life need real experts, right? And so,
Absolutely.
Yeah, what you said, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, to have a real expert team behind a family going through that process, I think can make all the difference. What I want to talk to you about is, I think in my experience, people going through the divorce process, I'm sure you see it all the time, people making a lot of mistakes, making the process harder than it has to be. People, from a cost perspective, making many costly mistakes, making the divorce process more expensive than it has to be. So, what I wanted to focus on today are, what are some common mistakes that you're seeing people make, either, before the divorce process or during the divorce process that had they maybe gotten some counsel earlier on, they could have avoided.
Sure.
What are some of those things that you're seeing most commonly?
Well, the first one I would probably say is that it's important, if you're thinking about the possibility of a divorce, to make sure you understand the extent of your marital assets and liabilities and the income that your spouse has, so that when you do sit down with the divorce attorney, it can be a meaningful discussion.
Okay.
When I meet with clients for the first time when they're looking for advice, I don't charge people for that consultation, but it's very helpful if they have pay information, so I can maybe run some child support numbers for them or give them some ideas on what sort of spousal support they might be looking at having to pay or getting.
Sure.
So that I can give them an idea of what sort of settlement I think that they can expect to receive, so that when they come out of that meeting, they have an idea of what's going to happen to them if they do decide to go down that road, or if their spouse does.
Makes sense. So if I'm hearing you right, I mean, you sit down with people all the time that maybe you meet with that don't come prepared, and which is really causing themselves more anxiety because they want answers, right? They want clarity. As they go through that process, they're on a journey to seek clarity. And, I think that's a great point. If you're not prepared and you don't know what you have or you don't have, it's virtually impossible for an attorney like yourself to give them that clarity that they're looking for. Is that right?
Yeah, during that initial consultation.
Makes sense.
And if they decide to move forward, it's certainly helpful for me as their attorney to have a good idea of what they have, so I have a starting point on where to look. If it's just a fishing expedition and they have no idea, then that's going to be a much more costly process for me to have to send out subpoenas and engage in serious discovery, as opposed to the situation where they've done their homework and pulled together records and have a very solid idea of what's happening and what they own and what they owe.
Great point. So that makes a lot of sense. So that's a good one. Is there anything else that you see mistake-wise people are making when they go through this process?
Yeah, well, of course, you always have the situation where a spouse tries to maybe play games or hide assets, and that really opens up a giant can of worms far more often than it's a successful strategy.
Okay.
And as an attorney, no ethical lawyer can be part of that. So I would always advise my clients to be candid. You try to hide assets, it's going to lead to a much more costly divorce case. And these cases can get very expensive when things like that happen.
Makes sense.
B, maybe even more importantly, if you get caught doing something like that, you're going to certainly lose credibility with the judge who's assigned to your case, who might be deciding issues of custody of your children, how your assets are going to be split, what sort of spousal support you might have to pay or maybe receive. And also, there's a line of law in Michigan that says that if you get caught hiding an asset or income or money, that asset or income can be forfeited to your other spouse. So,
wow.
There's some severe potential penalties in that situation.
No kidding. So the asset that one of the spouses is trying to hide, if they're caught, they'll lose the whole thing.
They could. Yes, absolutely.
And so, what is people's mindset that they can get away with it? Like, hey, I'm going to hide this. My wife doesn't know about it. My husband doesn't know about it. I'm going to, you know what, Brad? I'm going to hide it and hope that I don't get caught. And does that happen often, or is that pretty tough to do for somebody?
So it certainly happens. If someone came to me and said that, first of all, I would have to tell them you can't do that, and if you insist upon doing that, I cannot continue to be your attorney.
Sure.
I have that ethical obligation, but I would say that in my experience, far more often than not, it's discovered and there's a price to be paid.
Yeah, the juice is not worth the squeeze. It's never worth it to do it, right? Okay, makes sense. So those are two really good ones. Is there anything else that maybe you can share with someone watching this video, just as just be aware, don't do this type of thing?
Yeah.
Anything else
we
you
could
can think
probably
of?
talk
you're right.
all afternoon about this, but
Sure.
A couple of others I've thought of are one that I see frequently is a situation where a person will agree to some type of settlement based on what they think they're projecting down the road. Maybe someone's self-employed and their business is growing and they have a projection that they're going to double their income over the course of the next 5 years. So they agree to a lopsided settlement because they want out of the marriage and because they believe they're going to be able to afford it down the road. Well, in 31 years, I've seen a lot of changes in economics, and a lot of people who were making very good money stop making very good money very quickly. So as an attorney, I have to try to protect my clients sometimes from making those bad decisions just because A, they want out of that marriage, and B, they're maybe being optimistic, which is a good thing, but can also blow up in your face.
Because of these massive assumptions, right? To say, Brad, my income's going to do nothing but go up. So, and that assumption right there, in your experience, sometimes it doesn't happen, right?
That's right, absolutely.
Wow, that's dangerous. It's really dangerous. Yeah. So, I think the divorce process is something that no one plans for. Would you agree with that? It's not,
nobody gets married
thinking about
they're going to get divorced.
Sure.
That's correct.
Okay. So, if somebody is, unfortunately going down that path, Are you open to meeting with them? I think you do offer a free consultation. Is that right?
Yes, I do.
Okay, perfect. And typically, how long does that meeting typically last? What are those meetings like? What can someone kind of expect from a meeting like that with you?
So they would typically last anywhere from a half an hour on the short end to an hour and a half, probably.
Okay.
In a more complicated situation. What they can expect is for me to be able to give them my honest opinion.
Okay.
I learned a long time ago not to just tell people what they want to hear. Sometimes you have to give them answers that they don't necessarily want to hear, but they're realistic and it helps them plan for the future.
I love that. It's all about setting expectations, right?
That's right.
Makes a lot of sense. And so for someone that's watching this, whether they're watching this in the near future or 5 years from now, what would you say is the best way for them to get in touch with you so they can schedule that consultation and get the information that they need?
Probably the best way is just to give me a call.
Okay. And I'll put your number, on this video, below this video, so anybody that's watching this video can get a hold of you. And I surely thank you, and the people watching this will thank you later too for the information, because again, I think there's probably a lot of bad advice out there. And the fact that you're spending time here, pouring into the audience means a lot. Is there any last words of advice or anything that someone that's going down that road should consider or think about?
Yeah, I would tell people, make sure you sit down with a professional. A lot of folks try to do these things on their own, and I've seen so many situations where people come to me after the fact and it's too late. They've already agreed to something, the judge has stamped it, and it's over with. So whether it's meet with me or any other experienced family law attorney, it's important to sit down with somebody, and maybe even more than one person, because not every attorney-client situation is a good fit. So meet with a couple lawyers and find the person that you're comfortable with, but get information.
Great. Well, Brad, again, thank you so much for your time, and hopefully the people that are watching this will reach out to you. And again, just want to thank you for taking time to do the interview.
My pleasure, Brandon.
Yeah.
Yep.
Talk to you guys soon. Thank you guys for watching. And if you have any questions or you need Brad's advice, I'm going to put his information below this video. So feel free to reach out to him directly with any questions, and we'll talk to you guys soon.